I smell some weird fluid. Everything is crap itself. The Formula champion gasped with pure frustration. It's frustrating and unacceptable. I knew there was a problem. It was always going to be a question mark finishing the race, but these types of things, if you're fighting for the title, cannot happen. The future of Formula 1 is usually altered by the events last year. Max Verstappen's controversial win completely revolutionized the game with new regulations by the FIA. Fernando Alonso returned to the sport expressing gratitude for this new regulation, and George Russell made a big leap that could secure him the championship. We knew that all eyes would be on Hamilton and Max Verstappen fighting for the championship, with Verstappen retaining his position while Lewis Hamilton tried to earn it back. But things aren't like that anymore, with Ferrari unexpectedly leading this year's championship. But it seems like the champion and the former champion have a lot more to do this season. So stick with us till the end to know exactly why Max Verstappen is frustrated about this year's season. We are so far behind Ferrari. We need to finish races, Verstappen said after pulling over on lap 39 at Albert Park when running second to winner Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Today was a bad day. I was managing the tires, I could not fight Charles, he added. It was an easy P2, but we didn't even finish the race. Frustrating and unacceptable. These kinds of things, if you want to fight for the title, are unacceptable. We know that Max is devastated at this point with the performance of his car. Combined with his DNF in Bahrain, Verstappen finished the third weekend of the season with 25 points, but that is not enough. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc is way ahead of Max at this point. He basically dominated the entire race, putting him on 71 points with an added bonus for making it the fastest lap. Just for the record, let's see where the others are. Verstappen has 25 points with Lewis Hamilton on 28, Sergio Perez at 30 and George Russell at 37. The race is looking grim for Red Bull and Sergio Perez is visibly stressed out. It's certainly a concern. I mean, we've lost a fair amount of points already in the first 3 races that in the end can make a huge difference in the championship, Perez said at the post-race. We're obviously aware of it. All of the team back home in Milton Keynes are working flat out to try to come up with solutions. We don't know exactly the issue for Max today. I'm sure we'll turn things around and hopefully we can start again from zero when we go back to Europe. And it seems like Max Verstappen is on the edge of his driver's seat to defend his title, and as Red Bull's team principal recently said, until we get the car back, we don't have the data, we don't have the info. But desperately frustrating, I think as Max said, we didn't have the pace to race Charles today. Ferrari were in a league of their own, but it's frustrating not to be bagging those points. This was bound to happen with the new regulations in place. The Formula 1 has become one of the most awaited sports this year. With a not so hefty budget regulation, the ballers in the sport have lost a hefty amount of leverage and the race is now more challenging. With this, the race is solely based on skills, strategy, and the car. I'm delighted about this year's championship. The Australian Grand Prix had a very good start with Charles Leclerc leading the race and Verstappen right behind him, followed by Lewis Hamilton. George Russell, even though unnoticed, has managed to come way ahead through the game and things are looking very good. But Ferrari's Carlos Sainz gave up his spot when his car crashed into the gravel as he plunged back to the 20th position the moment he was about to pass Alfa Romeo's Zhou Guanyu. This is very confusing to me as the engines shouldn't have heated on the second lap of the race, or perhaps it was the hard tires. I knew that the weather could play a huge role in the decision today. The track was scorching while the drivers were struggling to gain the lead. Verstappen suffered a millisecond of a wheel spin that allowed Leclerc to retain his dominance on the racetrack. Hamilton overtook Perez. If the sun really was that unforgiving, then this was the hint to Red Bull's car that might lag in the later run. There is a significant drop in Hamilton's performance. Leclerc has been doing a lot better this year with Carlos, who is now out of the race for the Australian Grand Prix. Lap 27 was very interesting, where Alonso was in the 4th position with Russell ahead and Sergio Perez behind him while Verstappen desperately tried to overtake the Ferrari. Leclerc basically took an easy win, showing off his skills and telling us that he's the champion this year. He had a very proud moment today with Red Bull's Max Verstappen biting on his knees from the events that happened. Russell had his first podium today, and we cannot ignore the fact that Mercedes had a troublesome car this year. This is Ferrari's second big win, and I'm sure they have their hopes up. We've got a very strong car, a very reliable car too, and for now we've been there, so I hope it continues like this. He said, if it does, then we probably have chances for the championship. Hamilton, on the other hand, was addressing issues with his car that prevented him from overtaking Russell, he said. Basically, I couldn't race for the position because the car was overheating. He explained after he finished 4th, so I had to back off. But then he considers George Russell a force to reckon with. Commending his teammate, he said, "It felt amazing to be fighting or feel like we're fighting for a podium at that moment. But obviously we couldn't hold the pace of the Red Bulls. But whilst we haven't necessarily improved the car over these 3 races, I think we've really extracted the most we could points-wise. I think from my side I let the team down in the last race and didn't get the points. But to come away with this result is great. He did an amazing job today and had great pace. He's been so solid these first 3 races and he's working, really grafting away, doing an amazing job." Hamilton seems very paranoid about the FIA as he recently admitted that he felt uncomfortable during a briefing when Formula One's ruling body was not wearing masks. The meeting went on for 2 hours at Melbourne's National Park on Friday night. Hamilton said, "It was the longest drivers' briefing of my life. I've been racing for a long time and they've never done such a long briefing. I don't understand the small things they're picking up on, like the underwear. Are we really talking about that kind of thing? But anyway, you take it and move on." While he painfully admits that things aren't going well for Mercedes, he says, "We've not made any progress," added the 7-time world champion. "I really hope over this next week we can get as much information and figure something out. I wish I could be optimistic and say we've got something better coming, but at the moment we don't. Winning is a long way off, a second off, so it is a huge gap. I don't enjoy driving this car, but I enjoy the collaboration with the guys, knowing that there's a steep hill to climb and remaining hopeful that we will get there." Well, this year is competitive, but it still seems like it's not about the skills. From the looks of it, it still seems like the best car wins as Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton is having a very hard time trying to cope with their cars than the drivers. Max kind of reminds me of Fernando Alonso back in the day, while Lewis seems surprisingly calm. This is a great sign of maturity from Hamilton, but it could be the pressure of defending the title. Well, this year is very important for Verstappen as his controversial win would be justified if he manages to defend his title this year. So his frustration might be valid considering all the circumstances he's in right now. Anyway, the future is very uncertain and the competition is very intense with the anticipation high. Thank you so much for watching. Comment your thoughts below on the recent Grand Prix and start a conversation with the Formula One community. Who do you think will take the trophy home? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more updates.